Hey, what's going on, dudes? Battle Gamer 456 here, bringing you an all-new video. Today, guys, we are tackling Five Nights at Freddy's 3. This is the review, and let's get into it. Okay, so it's no surprise the Five Nights at Freddy's IP was successful at this point. With the massive success of the first game and the booming popularity of the sequel, Five Nights at Freddy's hype was at its absolute peak. Theories going off left and right, millions of views on YouTube. It was even about to get merch of the likes of Funko at the time. The hype for the game was at the highest the franchise would ever see. Now, I can go on and on about the build-up this game got with the troll game and all that, and all the teasers, but let's just skip that. But I did want to just start with why this game in my mind, is the worst Five Nights at Freddy's game. And that's going to say something later on. It really should have been the best, as the last one was such an improvement over the first in almost every single way. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is the most disappointing game in this entire franchise, even more so than Security Breach. And here's why it is, in my opinion, and why it should have been the best. Please enjoy. Now let's start with the title screen once again, as it goes back to the loud ambient and eerie sounds as the first game, along with having one animatronic cycling through different renders. While the first game used this to a lesser effect, and the second game had 3 characters rotating for a total of 6, this one just has one, and that one character is Springtrap, who is much more hidden than Freddy was in the first game. And the renders are also a lot more detailed and creepy, with some rare screens also showing up every now and again of him trying to take the suit off, and showing a skeleton with guts and a mutilated corpse pretty much, with emitting immense pain in the face. And talking about that, let's go into this game's looks. This game goes for a much more run-down, thrown-together look, with everything being yellowed and green. Light bulbs barely working, and it should be shut down, in all honesty. I love this, and as it gives the eerie feeling that you'd get from an abandoned building or haunted house, the unease of being there is something that the first game had continuously going for it, and continuously slowly growing as the week continues. But here it's the opposite, as this effect quickly dissipates as the week continues, and by the end of the second or third night, you're pretty much done with it. But the lighting is amazing. As mentioned earlier, it seems run down, and like some lights are just barely working or just don't work anymore. Along with the main character design, Springtrap has just a top tier design. No wonder people want him in Dying Light or Dead by Daylight, whatever that slasher game is, and want him in the movie. I think, though, this has caused people to go a lot more easy on this game. His design is just so good and eye-catching, I don't blame them. He is the most withered animatronic we'll see at this point, and real animatronic we'll see at this point, or in general. And we can clearly see his guts and endo. Yeah, I said guts. As we all know, there's a person inside the suit, and we can see them clearly, along with the dead, soulless eyes he has as this haunting slasher look that can hold its own against horror icons that just aren't in games. Now we also have the Phantom animatronics. They have this more burnt texture over them, and some of their eyes match Springtrap's. Well, actually all their eyes match it. But instead of being white around it, it's black. So a very detailed white pupil. Now, I'll be honest, I feel like they all look like watermelons with this texture. Not gonna lie, looks like watermelons. But hey, I think it can be forgiven. So, the only one that looks decent in my opinion is Foxy, as he does not have this weird line burnt texture. Withered Freddy or Phantom Freddy looks fine, but not my favorite, especially since he walks without having two legs. Don't get me started on that. Um, but yeah, other than that, the birds look kind of cool. The mini games also make a return in telling a story along with night secrets. This time, they can be played during the night or in between nights. The mini games are fantastic looking, but have a much more muted color palette and have uh, this drab aesthetic that makes some of the characters pop much more. But I do prefer how it looked in Final Fantasy Phase 2 still, as it doesn't really feel like an Atari game. It feels more like a mix of 8-bit and 16-bit, kind of like a maybe 12-bit game running on a Atari 2600, the dying CRT TV, but in an arcade cabinet, you know? But they're still really fun and tell a great story, as we'll get into later. Now, the story of this game jumps all around, so I'll just go chronologically. The pizzeria minigames have us play once again as an animatronic each night, though it's a different one as we follow a Shadow Freddy to the safe room where we are denied access. After a moment, Purple Man comes out and disassembles us. It's kind of a jump scare at first. Once all animatronics are gone, we play as a dead child, a crying dead child, as we make our way back to the safe room. And this time we can enter the safe room, and we see none of the Purple Man freaking out from our presence. He enters the Golden Bonnie suit that we also know is weak to moisture and can and has killed people. And as soon as he gets in, the spring locks immediately fail as there's water puddles and he's old and probably sweaty and panting in a super moist environment. And it seemingly kills him, as this is believed to be what we see in the teasers, or in the first trailer even for the game. This game takes place about 30 years after the first one, and we play as the security guard at Fazbear Fright, a horror attraction. Our first night, we meet Phone Dude, who won't be staying throughout the game, apart from one or two more calls. He calls saying they have a lead on a real animatronic, and that we'll be put in a furry suit if they can't find one. On the second night, we find out he found one, luckily, so we don't have to put on a furry suit, and some training tapes. He found the spring trap. That's the animatronic he found. Oh yeah, the guts coming off this art is perfectly fine. Perfect. Yeah, no one's ever going to bring that up again. But throughout the tapes that he also found, it explains what the springlock suits are. Like on one tape, it even talks about how they're super dangerous. Nothing really story-wise happens until night 6, where we burn down the building, and we see our boy Springtrap survive once again. Then we have all the cake eating games, where we collect cake and take it to the Golden Freddy child, put the original souls to rest, and this is one of two endings. And it's not 100% clear as to which one is canon, but it is mostly and widely believed that the bad ending is the canon one, as all the souls like Golden Freddy are not put to rest, especially with security breach. But only reason is mainly because Golden Freddy is not put to rest. That's the main reason people believe that is the canon ending, the bad one, anyway. But let's get on to the fun part, the gameplay. Fuck me. I am not excited to talk about this part. I absolutely hate this game, but not like genuine hate because it's just I hate it to hate it. It was so close to being fun. So this game has a lot of new things, with only the cameras making a return from previous games. With that, let's talk about those cameras, shall we? To access them, you must click on the box this time instead of just swiping to it. And that'll be how we access everything here, clicks. And you have two sets to switch from now. Okay, that's new. The main area, and then the vents. While on the cameras we have the two main mechanics we'll need to survive: audio lure and vent snares, or vent blocks. Fuck. Now, the audio button is used to lure Springtrap over to the area, but He has to hear it first, and there's no guarantee he'll hear it or it's in his range, or that he'll even just go to it. The vent blocker has you double click on the camera you're on after you go into the vent cameras, and you can only use one at once to block it off. And you have to make sure Springtrap's already in there, and not past it, or pray that the game didn't decide he's past it. Next, we have a new challenge added of the maintenance panel. Yay! Everyone's favorite. Between the camera, audio, and vents, they can go out and will need to be reset through this panel, actually, which is the biggest drag of the game. You must click to it once again, but that's not an issue. It's fine. I actually kind of prefer this. There's an option to reset all of the mechanics at once, vents, cameras, and audio, which this takes the longest time versus doing them one at a time. But with the AI of this game, you're screwed the moment two go out. Now, luckily, there is just Springtrap that can kill us, but we have the Phantoms that will disable vents and or cameras and audio. Foxy, Freddy, and Mangle all work the same, as if you stare at them too long, they'll jump scare you, or in Mangle's case, also the puppet's case, but we'll get to that in a second, he'll glide across the screen. Now, Foxy, you're supposed to be able to look away from, but you don't get a chance to. It will happen immediately. And he'll wait. If the vents are already down, he will wait until they're back up. And then, boom, you gotta do it again, and then you're screwed again. Now, we have the puppet, Bibi, who has the best jump scare in the game in my mind, and his first and the best. I love it. It's just so what the fuck. And Chica, which are all avoidable, where if you see them on the cameras, you have to quickly click away from that camera, get off of it. And yeah, that's about it for the Phantom mechanics. Springtrap is quote-unquote slowly making his way to you while this is all happening as well, as he crawls through vents, or just walks. For some reason doesn't kill us when we walk in, but you know what, hey, I guess it makes fucking sense. If he gets outside the office doors, you're dead. If he gets past a vent, you're dead. If you have more than two things out, you're fucking dead. Or you could have him in the opposite goddamn side of the building, and you're still dead. Now, this is the worst one because of this. It is so RNG, I genuinely hate it. And we're not even on to my opinions part of this video yet. Now, if you're going to play Final Fantasy 3, I do recommend that you actually play the version Help Wanted, as I feel that's the definitive version to play. It actually has working mechanics, but we'll get into that when we get into Help Wanted's video if the series continues to do so well. And thank you all so much for the support, by the way, for all of it so far. I hope we can keep the momentum going, but back to the gameplay because fuck this game. Now, we also get the mini games, which all play exactly as they did in Five Nights 2, so I won't waste too much of the time here as we also already talked about the stories in them, but some of the minigames do have effects on the normal gameplay and how you access them. Some you can access during normal play, where you'll see a Shadow Bonnie figure or cupcakes throughout the map, and you have to select them. Bibi, you have to click on a poster, if I remember right. I'll be honest, I never sunk or went out of my way to get the mini games because I just never had an interest to finish this game even. But there's also a secret code in one of them that you access through one of the walls to get to a different mini game, which is really cool. I like how some of this game a lot, but the gameplay just falls apart. Now it's on to the final verdict where I get a rant and rave. Let's fucking go. Really wanted to like this game, but the original just isn't fun. It looks amazing. It has great story going along with it as a solo title, and as part of a main franchise. It adds so much to the narrative and is so creepy. I love the story and aesthetic of this game. It's just the gameplay I hate. And it just kills it for me just so much. I don't like going back to it. I know I skipped a lot of this game, but I really could. It was a hard time just writing this script because one of the endings, though, isn't canon, as we mentioned earlier, and the games are just so cryptic. I didn't even feel like covering some of it because the format I have for these videos doesn't work with super cryptic things, and yeah, that's Five Nights at Freddy's for you, but it just doesn't help when you have two endings and then you have mini games that no one really's decided or come to a clear this will mean this or this can mean that, but yeah, it's all funky wonky, but I love all of it except for the gameplay. If you're going to play this game, I recommend the Help Wanted version. Yeah, it's more expensive, but you're getting a lot of games, but we'll get to that when it's Help Wanted's time to shine. Quick little thing before the video ends. I did want to quickly rate the game. I forgot to do that in the initial recording, so let's get into that. I will rate this game as a solid 4.6. But then when we get to the Help Wanted version, I'd rate that honestly as an 8.4. But we'll get into that. But yeah, everything that I said, it makes this game pretty much a 4.6. I won't give it a 5, but because the gameplay just bogs it down so much. And then I forgot to rate Fnaf 2 in the last one, and that one is getting a solid 8.5. Next, we'll be going in to Five Nights at Freddy's 4, the scariest, most fear-inducing real game in my mind in this entire franchise. I know I hype each one up apart from this one, but yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.